Hello, everybody. This is another edition of Gandhara Independent Film Festival's GIFF Talks for 2022. Today, we have two producers with us, Angelina Bok and Anup Poudel. I'm very quickly going to give you a little roundup of what labs they've gone to. So Angelina has gone to IFFR, the Rotterdam Film Festival, the lab over there, fantastic film festival in, fantastic film school in Bucheon in Korea. She's also gone to the she's been a part of BFI mentorship as well as Asia Doc, uh, the FF, the the panel over there, as well as the Singapore International Film Festival Producers Network. And Anup Pudel has been part of Produire du Sud in France. And most recently, his short film Lori was given special mention at Cannes Film Festival 2002. Anup, if I've missed anything, please do let us know. But thank you guys for joining us and talking about film labs and film strategies today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Yeah,
Yeah,
looking for.
thank you for having us, and I think we'll share our experience today.
Uh, Definitely, I'm looking forward to it. The first thing I'm going to start off right off the bat is could you both tell me the importance of film labs and film and festival labs, and as producers, what are you looking to gain from that experience?
Hmm. Anup, do you want to go first?
Go first.
Okay. I think to me, it is to give guidance to a project in early development stages rather than something that's already advanced. It's to find the right collaborators and mentors, whether it's, to bounce off feedback or to get continuous guidance. But to be frank, sometimes it's a hit and miss kind of thing for me. What I mean is, not every mentor is suitable for your project, for instance. So you really need to identify who resonates best with your project before asking for constructive feedback. And I think for me as a producer, this is crucial. I've been to labs where my directors actually feel more lost than understood, or they receive too many opinions on the project that the lab kind of backfire instead of helping the project progress. So I think you really, as a producer, you need to identify how helpful the sessions are going to be for you and how to make the best out of the labs that you attend. Yeah. Anup.
Yeah, to add, Angie, yeah, it's important to know where you are going and which stage you are. But if you're developing your project and it's in very early stage, it's better to go in the lab where you can see people's feedbacks who are attending the lab, and the mentor that we have will give some idea, some guidance. And I think it's up to all a writer, director, or being a creative producer. It's up to us, what to take in, what approach we have, and what I find the difference of going to, like, I have been to residency lab, So recently I've been to Global Media Makers Residency, which is under film independent in the USA. Going there, I realized the way of feedbacks and the guidance that our mentorship that provided by the American experts and the European is quite different. The structures and the how do you call it, like the feedback itself is quite different than to Europe, because we are more because the kind of cinema we produce are more inclined to the European market, because our project depends on the co-productions on European co-producers, right? So the kind of mentorship is very different, but it's nice. It's nice to have this different perspectives towards your things, So, yeah, the thing is, like, as a producer, uh, you want to make the project, or as a director, right, you want to have that project happen sometimes sometimes while developing, So it's up to us how we will drive it, and we can get some kind of instincts or some kind of good suggestions or advices or motivations to put the project forward. And I think it's very important for every new filmmakers to go some labs and see how they are, what stage they are in, you know. So yeah.
And when you guys are talking about the developmental stage, this is purely when you guys have gotten a couple of drafts of the script that you're happy with, and you're happy to take that forward and show it to people. But correct me if I'm wrong, it's before you've done the budgeting, or have you already done the budgeting to like a top sheet or whatever to show the people, okay, this is what it's going to cost?
Okay. With my experience, I can say it like I feel like you don't need to get hurried to go to any labs or the film market or anywhere. No, you need to figure out your writings, and as a producer or applying for any labs, you need to have the basic things, you know. So you need to have a draft, and if when you feel like you need mentorship, it's important to go to the lab, or still you want to write a like one or two draft and then go to lab. It's not like hard and fast. And when you feel like you need to go, you have to go. And for applying, you need to see the whole project, you know. So as a producer, we have this big responsibility of looking after the budget and the labs, in the kind of the labs we are going, and we have to. It depends on it. It depends. Like most of the time, it's like the director intentions, the director statement, and the producer's statement, and the budget and the financing plan is very important, because every lab expect every project to be happen, you know. So I think it's I suggest, or I what with my experience, what I can say is like, don't go with your first or second draft, you know. Just write for some files, so somewhere when you feel like you need to develop further, then go to the lab, you know. So yeah. And another thing is like it's the first stage of the project. It depends. For many people, they don't feel like going to lab or something like that. For me, is why it's important is like, first of all, it will give an exposure to the project. Secondly, it will help you to understand your craft, what kind of cinema you are making. Thirdly, is like it will help you to get to the market, so you can find out interesting collaborators for your project, you know. So yeah.
Yeah, I think to add on to Anup's point, I think depends on what type of lab you are entering. Some labs don't require you to do to present all the nitty-gritty financing stuff. But I always think it's good to have an idea, to have a sense of where the financing is gonna be at, what's the rough budget. And sorry, Vivian, I just realized the first question we were both talking about project centric, but in terms of producer centric labs, these type of labs exist. One of them is called Full Circle Lab in Philippines, which I attended last year, and these are really small. They're very intimate. They're about 8 people from all parts of Asia, and labs like that help producers identify their trajectory as a producer, and whether their projects are on the right path, or what types of steps they should take in order to be the producer they want to be. So other than your Rotterdam, your Berlinale, there are smaller labs like that which are more conducive, more productive, and more focused in helping the producer chart their path. So I think for producers who are trying to figure out which labs are suitable for them to attend, I think it's important to also understand what they want out of a lab if they don't have a project. Yeah.
Okay, wow. I didn't have any idea of that. So thank you so much for letting us know about that. Could you guys give me some specific examples? Because I know that you have taken, Angelina, you said that you've taken some features to labs, and they're still in development. I know you've taken short film, but you're also pitching your feature film with Abhinash, right? So how, like from when you guys started with those projects, when you went into the lab to when you came out of the lab, what sort of improvements did you see in terms of structure, or the scope of the project?
Well, and I will want to take an example of the current project I'm developing with the director of Vinas Vikramsha. So I have a feature film called Elephants in the Fog. It's a thriller drama. So we were in an early stage when we went to Asian Project Market now. In Busan, under Busan Film Festival last year. So at the time we had our third draft of the script, and it's not a lab, but it's a market, so it's very different, you know. So we feel like going to the lab, but we took a very first stage of going to the market to know our project, how just take a chance, sometimes, and it happened, and our project was there. And while meeting, we should present some dossiers to the people that we are meeting. So we have this kind of discussions with many co-producers, and it helped us to get some sense with the project. And the first thing is like people like the project. The first instinct was good for us. We didn't expect much, but still we are looking how it will like how people will perceive it. And after that. After we did that, we went to a residency program. It's a lab plus, it's a lab actually. Residency is more of a lab, but as I mentioned, global media makers under Film Independent. So my director was under there. There was 4 tracks. Okay, 4 tracks is like one for documentary, one is documentary track, one is producers track, another is script writing track, and another is direction track. So during that time, as a producer, as a producer, we are like 5 people from 5 countries and 5 projects, and we have this mentor coming to us, like the Hollywood mentor, Hollywood producers mentor coming to us, and we're talking about the creative aspects as well as the financial structures and the possibilities of how we can finance our film. It's something very new to me, because I was taught or learned is more about European co-productions. It was something very new to me, and I found it's very hard to be an independent producer in the USA, So the environment over there is very, very, very exciting, but kind of not for me, because it's very hard to explore that market. And another thing is like I with my director, since he was in script writing track, I met many mentors, and when listening to their feedback is something very different to me, and very exciting as well. And they provide us such a good mentors. Like we have this transhuman, since our story deals with the story of transhuman, and they provide us the transhuman mentor, one of the mentor. It's so very happy to listen a perspective of the transhuman for the script. So this industry has this many people, many different kind of people. They are very welcoming to every kind of people, and it's very exciting to know the American market. And immediately after global media makers and meeting many mentors, and like we appreciate, because everyone has this perspective, and it's up to us which way we want to go. It's not like confusing ourselves. So I was there, and as a producer, you have a problem somewhere, but still you want to work on it. Or as a writer, he has his own thought, and sometimes we have this quarrel, because when we like things and when we can't incorporate what they are trying to say, it's very hard, but it's like a brainstorming for us. But immediately we went to another residency called Pop-Up Film Residency in Slovakia, So we had like 2 mentors who made a feature film in Pakistan under trans man. So it's like for our project, with all this mentor and with the similar experience that they have regarding our project, it was very helpful. And with after this pop-up film residency, our project was in La Fabric. I am going to talk about La Fabric. La Fabric is a tailored program that happened during Cannes Film Festival. So it's a part of Mars Du Film. It's fall under Mars Du Film. So we have this access to meet many people and pitch our ideas. So it's like it's like, with all this journey that we had in a year and more, what we learn is like, believe on yourself, believe on your crafts. People comes to you, talk to you, and impose their ideas. You have to be yourself. What kind of film you want to make as a producer, and coming from a very small country, that's very important. It's like the way we are. The thing is like how people understand our culture. The way we tell our story can be different than the American or European. So we need to know our way of storytelling, and we need to, when we are making a film from Nepal, it should be a Nepal story, and the way we tell the story, that's the authenticity that we should have as a producer or a director. And you can get the feedbacks. It doesn't mean that you have to work under anyone's how do you call it, like anyone imposing on you. So it's something very for me as a producer. I felt like going to lab and this all experience like making me more strong and finding many ways to work on the craft itself. Yeah. I don't know if I talk about what you are
No,
seeking for, but I like
you did. Yeah,
is
it comes down to the journey that you take, and you get more confidence
yeah,
by talking to more people about your project, because they obviously believe in your project, and that gives you the belief that your project is going somewhere, that it's worth
somewhere.
worth spending all of that time on. So yeah, you did. Yeah.
Yeah,
Angie?
I think for me it's a bit different. So the directors that I work with, not everyone is suitable for the art house route. Not everyone is suitable for the traditional film lab path. So I can give one example. So Singapore and the British Film Institute organized this producers mentorship 2 years ago. And back then I brought in a dark comedy film that was supposed to be set in the UK. It's called The Blameless Life of Reverend Barnaby. And firstly, I'm not British, and my director is a Singaporean who has lived in London for almost a decade. So his sensibilities for filmmaking draw a lot from the British dark humor, and the treatment was so well written, and we received very good feedback. And this lab was actually the first edition. I was the guinea pig batch, and we had very good mentors from BFI and in the UK scene. But the feedback that I got is, even though the treatment was very good, it will be extremely tough for me as a producer to access funding if I am not a UK national. So um, while that may sound like a bit discouraging, I think moving forward, instead of me dropping the project completely, my director and I decided to, park it as a second project, such that we can work on a feasible first feature, for us to prove ourselves, and also for me to find a way to enter the UK market. Maybe I have to work there or something like that. And I think that sense of reality helped me a lot, even though like it was hard truths, because it was a really good project and I didn't want to give it up. But and also the reality of Singapore and UK not having a film treaty, for example. So if I really wanted to make the feature film happen, I have to find a way to tap into the market as a foreigner. So yeah, that is something that I have to sort of accept, like certain hard truths that I have to accept when I attend certain labs, and assessing what is doable versus what is not doable, and how I can make the project happen, yeah, in the future. Yeah.
So what I'm hearing is that when you go to the labs, it's not just that you're working on the project itself, like the nitty gritty of the project or the script, or the creative side of things, but also you learn a little bit about the logistics of what you would need for that project to go forward. Because a lot of the times when you're co-producing, like a lot of the projects, like even with Anup, like you mentioned, when you're co-producing, that comes with strings attached as well, right? The money doesn't come freely. You have to, there are a lot of other things that get attached to the project, which again you need to figure out whether that works for your project, whether that works for you as a producer, whether that works for the director, and then you move forward. Am I correct if in that sort of
yeah,
understanding?
Mm.
true, true, true,
Uh,
true.
what I want to very quickly touch upon next is, Anup, you had mentioned the dossier. Now, I know what a dossier is, but for a lot of the people who might be watching this might not know. So, can you very quickly tell me what a dossier is and what you need to prepare for a lab? And also, how do you prepare your director for the lab? Because it's not just you going to the lab, you're taking someone else. Their expectations also need to be met. How, as a producer, how do you handle that? Because you're sort of being a psychologist at this point, right?
Yeah. So yeah, dossier is a document where you have the more information about your project, which includes a logline, synopsis, treatment, director's intention, director's biography, producer's statement, producer's biography, and budget, a top sheet budget, top sheet of budget and financing plan, uh, and 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 sometimes it's an audience engagement. So it's a documents where you will tell more about your project and how you are planning to do it, and what's the what is the USP of the project. It's something like that. So it's a document you prepare for different labs or the funds or wherever you are submitting the project. And it's very different from one lab to another lab. So the basic things are like that. And like how I prepare the director is I call a process. So what I do is like I'll have this calendar where I'll tell my director I need this treatment or the first draft or second draft till this date, and we are planning for this lab, and then we'll apply for the development funds, and then we'll go to the market, and then we'll going to market, we'll figure out some co-producers and the shooting date and everything. So even the dossier includes the production schedule when you are planning. So there is no hard and fast thing, and it depends where you are applying. But the most important thing is like you need to figure out in your mind, or at least in your heart, when you are making the film and how you're gonna make your film. It's very important, and how much budget you want. And it's kind of tricky sometimes with my own experience, because I don't know it's good or bad to say, but it's like it's every lab has this strategy, or every lab has this desire to have something new. Some labs have something new elements that they want to listen from the producer or the director. So the thing is like when you feel like when your director feel like to or like to develop more, you have to apply for it. And the basic requirements for the dossier, I mentioned it. And another thing is like when you go for the lab, the best decision is like the director should have some recognized work. People wants to see the director's previous work. So for me, because I am generally working with the first time and second time feature filmmaker, so for now I want to have their short film so that it can be recognized somewhere, so that it will help the decision maker in some labs or the market to know my director somewhere. So that's another process. So I suggest not to hurry on things, not to because we as a young people, we easily got depressed or stressed out when things doesn't happen on the way we want. So for that we need to be a little bit careful. Like it's not the thing that decide the whole project. There are many ways to do things. So it's like it's I say like just go and follow your gut is very important, and trust your craft, and don't hurry. Don't take a decision. Oh, tomorrow is the deadline. Let's do the thing. It's like many of the youngsters in my country do. And they don't. And when they are rejected, they're like, oh my God. Like it's not like that. You need to have this very good schedule, a plan that can happen, and that's how you can follow up the lab later on. When you have these things and it's not working, you can write an email why it can't happen or something like that. Some lab even reply. So that's a good thing, to have a good communication and trust yourself. Trust yourself means like you need to prepare yourself. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I agree. There's really no point in rushing, but I think my view is that the most important question is, what does my director want out of making the feature film? Is it to simply get a film out because it's a debut feature, or there's something really personal or urgent that he or she wants to say? I think there is no right or wrong, but it is important to be honest to your producer, so that as producers we can help identify what is needed for the project, and whether a lab is even suitable, or whether the project can be developed independently. And for my case, how I prepare them is I usually do this like 1 month or 2 months before the deadline, so that there's enough time. And if the lab is not suitable, at least I know that we don't waste time applying for the lab. We'll use our energies and find other resources to continue development. But I want to understand the essence of the story. What's the director's opinion on the subject matter? Because especially when the project might not be a personal story. And the most important question is, what if the lab doesn't pull through? Like, what is the director's next plan? Are they going to give the project up, or are we going to continue developing? I think these are things that the producer have to be aware of before doing the nitty-gritty work of applying for labs. Yeah.
And so you need to know before you even get to a certain point in you, with your development. Do you already start thinking about which labs you want to go to, because you know what the story is about and what the genre is, so you sort of earmark, okay, this is where I can go? Is that something that you would recommend, like know well in advance?
I think it's, yes, in a way. I think it's good to do research on what type of projects have been accepted. Like, for example, I'm mostly drawn to genre type of projects. Like, the underlying genre could be drama, but it's executed with a high concept, or a thriller, or horror, or comedy. Therefore, maybe Busan is not suitable for me, because maybe Busan is more suitable for social realist kind of projects, for example. So I already know, like, okay, maybe instead of using my time to apply for Busan, I could use my time to apply for other suitable projects. So I think this is how I access. But I think Anup has more experience in terms of like Busan, Asian project market, and other markets and labs.
So very quickly, because we are going to be running out of time soon, I just want to ask, we've spoken about labs. So once you go done with the lab, once you have your film out, especially, and this is because you guys have done quite a few short films, do you, before the short film is made, do you think about the film festival strategy, with festivals you want to go through, and what is your strategy when you're thinking about film festivals, or applying to them? Like, very quickly, if you can sort of give me an overview of how you guys look at that as producers.
Go, Anup.
This part got it. You didn't go.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. And the thing is, like, with experience, I can say it. I started with making film for the festival. It's something not good in general, but I'm telling which can be recorded and edited. Okay, being a friend, I need to laugh.
Yeah, I
I'm
doubt
good to
that's going
talk
to
about
happen,
it.
but you can go ahead.
Record, edit the record.
Yeah.
No, yeah. Oh my God, stop picking around, but the reality. Well, it's very important to know. Very important to know where you are going. Looking at the kind of cinemas they premiere, world premiere. Different festivals have different kind of short films or the feature films that you can make a little sense. But I don't encourage people to make a film for the festival. But as a producer, you want to have recognized your work in certain festivals, right? So with my experience, we always made a film and planned for the good festival, and we categorize festivals. Somewhere it's not good to somewhere it's not good, but somewhere it will give you more recognitions. So we are hunger of our with the director is more hunger of this recognition sometimes, because it will help him or her for her feature film or something like that. This is how the world has perceives the short film. It's a future of the cinema for the feature film. So as a producer, there is nothing to do, no commercial viability with the short film. You really can have it. But as a producer, putting all lots of money and going to a good festivals, or let's say like the way to categorize a great festival is like pushing the director further, so that I can have his or her feature film working together and have that kind of exposure from the beginning. It's very important when you are working with European co-production. It's very important that I felt. And also there are many film festivals, that not only 3 or 4. There are many film festivals where genuine filmmakers goes. The one who loves cinemas, the one who appreciates cinemas. You need to find that that film festival as well. And me as a producer, sometimes I want to go to that festivals where people celebrate, where people eagerly comes there to watch the best short film. Not glamours or not these media things and all. But as a producer, you want to have you have greed of everything. So for me, it's like it depends what kind of short film I'm making. Is important to strategize the festival. And since my project has been to Venice and Cannes and Busan, like I can sense with the project that I'm working and how it functions is like, okay, this project has like maybe this project will be liked by the Busan Film Festivals or something like that. So no more rejected with the festival that I have. Like rejected is rejected that has never been to the film festival, but with the short film I submitted till now, it has been to the festival that I wanted. Yeah.
Okay. And what about you, Angie?
To be completely honest, nowadays I think of festival strategies usually after the picture log. Because I realize it's a bit pointless to lock ourselves into a strategy prior, locking the edit and then pigeonhole ourselves before realizing the film's best potential audiences. And I always get my director to sit with me and go through the strategy with me because this is their film and they have to care where it's being seen. But going to Cannes and everything is great, but the real question is what kind of audience is watching a film. So of course my dream is to, if I can get a film seen at the big festivals, that would be great. But maybe I'll give a most recent example. I recently made an independent short film, and after pitching to several investors, we got the highest amount of funding from a local national body, which no one has ever gotten before. But with this funding, we had to sacrifice the world premiere at the usual big festivals. So we can only submit to festivals that are probably A minus or B grade onwards. But when we premiered the film at the organization's theater, I saw the 2,000 audience members from all walks of life. And this is a big feat for me because the cinema going culture in Singapore is still quite weak. To have the young and old come and watch our film on the big screen felt like a miracle for me. And suddenly, that felt more rewarding than getting to a festival with perhaps no physical screenings or very little audiences. And we had people approach us, asking us questions after the screening and continuing the conversation. And that is what cinema is about. We make films because we want to engage people, we want to provoke them, and we want them to talk about things. And I'll never forget that feeling. So as producers, of course it's important to plan your festival strategies, to know where the territories where the short film will be seen. But again, this is a short film, like Anup said, there's no commercial value. The purpose of the short film is to really be for the team to present their chops, express their storytelling capabilities before jumping into a feature length setting. So really, as a short film, be forgiving to yourselves, but make sure you really do your best to prove your craft as storytellers. Yeah.
Okay.
And also, I when Angie was telling this thing, I am very fascinated, and that is one kind of fight I'm going with. Not a fight, but still, my struggle is like my own home country audience. And that are the people that can relate the story that I'm trying to tell. So for me, it's like the home audience is very important. Home market is very important. Everything coming from very small country in the South Asian region territory, maybe somewhere we can reciprocate with Pakistan. So the thing is, like, if we make short films and if we can showcase in our territory or to our people. That's the biggest film festival achievement for you, you know. So I want people to make short films and have this culture of bring all people together and watch the short film that we make, you know. So it's very individual effort to make our cinema alive for years and years, and that's the biggest expression that a person can do is through short films. You know, they can express what they have inside their mind, and short film allows it. And also for the strategy, what Angie was telling, that don't get hurried to submit to the festivals. You know, you need to do a post production. I say don't send the work in progress project. You know, work in
So
progress
you have to
project,
send
because
something which is completed.
yeah, complete it and do before the deadlines. And when listening to the festival programmers and all, and it's so disappointing for me, you know. I'm sad to tell it, you know, how people perceive our project. It's like they have this submissions of like 1,000, 2,000 films, and there are like 7 people working for a month, and they don't work. Sometimes they don't. It's like, it's very bad to say. It's the reality, you know. So be prepared well, just not to get disappointed. You know, we easily get demotivated in life. It's not important to go to the film festival or something like that. Just bring 100 people or 50 people in your own country and show your films and keep making films. And one day the world will come to you and recognize your work. You don't need to go any far, you know. So it's very important to make films, and with the limited resources, we can do many things, you know. So yeah, keep on making films is that what I want to say all the audience. And please, if anyone is interested to collaborate on NG, and we are together, you know. So yeah.
But thank you guys for giving me such insightful views, giving our audience such insightful views. Thank you for coming on board and talking to us today. And from everyone, myself as well, at GIFF, thank you for joining us for GIFF Talks 2022. And I can't wait to see what you guys produce in the future.
Thank you, Vivian. And thank you, Anup. It's been lovely.
It has been. You guys
Thank you
take
very
care.
much. And yeah, to take care. I'll see you around. Bye bye.
Bye.